Well, I just got done with an early lunch with some farmers in town and got to know them a little bit. It's kind of interesting to hear how far information travels across this town, or this state, I should say. Apparently they're familiar with me and they're kind of excited for me to be in town, so we'll see how that goes. I'm a little skeptical still, gotta rebuild my trust in people after dealing with Ken for so long. But we're here at the dealership because we're gonna talk to them about leasing equipment. If there's some, things they have available for us to lease, we're gonna take advantage of that while we build up our own inventory. And it looks like it's his off day today. Where's he at? Let's take a look. I know they have a digital catalog that we can look at, so we can place our orders if we need them. Let's take a look. Used equipment's looking pretty good right now, but nothing that we actually need. For 175 horsepower, this is what I've been eyeing to get us started. It would have a front loader, a quick front loader attacher that we'd have to buy as well, but that would be nice to be able to move things around. We know this would work with the windrower. Yeah, I think that's what we're gonna do. And we will buy the cheapest one possible here, $7,500. And all we're gonna need right now is a pallet fork. So that leaves us with $50,000 in the bank account before looking into any contracts today. So I think we'll do this in baby steps. Let's get this home. We'll have to come back for the truck again, but we'll get this home, start rowing up. Well, we got to get through this storm, get that grass rowed up. And then, while we're here, let's just see what they have for leasing balers and potentially something for wrapping the bales. So for $5,000, we could lease this baler that has a wrapper with it. I think that's what we'll end up doing. Yeah, I guess let's go ahead and get that leased now. We can come back and get it later, but I think that's the best course of action. We have the trailer at home already that we can load the bales on. We just bought the front loader and a pallet fork that we could, double as bale spikes. That will help with that. A little bit of ways from the house, so it would have been wise to show up here with the truck and trailer, but we do have the John Deere to take home with us. So 44,000 bucks. We'll try to get as much as we can done today before we look into contracts. I definitely want to focus on our own land first, but we absolutely need to make some money so that we can buy another field, because we're going to be very limited on what we can do on, I think it's the 6 acres that we have. All right, let's get the pallet forks hooked up, and we can pull the baler back with us. That's true. So we don't have to come back for another trip. We'll just have to come get the truck eventually. And we might just take an Uber home, because there is a house nearby this dealership where we're staying. You know what I didn't do is make sure we had enough horsepower for this. We're barely gonna get by with enough, so it should be okay. But let's get home. We'll wait out this storm a little bit. We'll start rowing up that grass, start making some bales, get them wrapped. And we should be, not far away from bringing in our own money from our own property, I should say. Another thing that's pretty sweet about this bridge is the train goes under it, so when we're going this route, we don't have to worry about stopping for the train. You can see it going by there. Pretty cool train, first time seeing it. Big grass field right here. This must be a cattle farmer, or maybe he has sheep. Yeah, it's some type of field I would love. Whoa, what are you doing, car? You're in the wrong lane. That was almost terrible. But let's see, what do we have here? Bison Ridge. Okay, don't know how active that farm is. Well, you can see our equipment in the distance there. It'll be real nice to finally get to use that windrower. Here's our turnoff. Beautiful little underpass of the train again there. Just gorgeous. Like there's somebody out fishing this morning in their boat there. Turned into a pretty good day. Once that rainstorm passed, looks like we have some sunflowers to our left here. Like a root crop next to us. What do we got here? Some sugar beets. Ooh. I do not miss harvesting those. That was a long day of work when we did that. Now, hopefully this hasn't overgrown. It has been a few days since we were out here, and gosh, this grass is growing good. So we should be able to get a cut or two before the year's end after this one. It'll be interesting to see. There's a thick grass we're driving through here, so it's a little slow going. All right, here we go. It feels good to finally have the right equipment at the farm here. Our new farmyard, potentially. And I'm debating on getting some animals. We know we felt more at home when we had the sheep before, so we might do the same thing this time around here in Judith Plains. I just talked to Bobby this morning. Everything's going good in Black Mountain. Getting a lot of orders in still. He asked if we needed more money, and I told him that defeats the purpose of how much fun it is to grow a farm here. So we're gonna go off the money we have. We'll let that business just be thriving on its own. And now that I'm raking this is a decent sized field. Like we got a good start here. This is gonna be some good money. These swaths are looking pretty good. So we'll go ahead and get busy here, get this all raked up, turn it into bales, find a place to store them for now, though just in the middle of the field will probably be fine. And then we'll have to look into locations in town that are buying silage. There might be some other farmers in town, or we could find a co-op potentially that helps, distribute goods to other farmers in town to be the middleman for us. But no time like now to get busy and get this done. Looking like the last pass here, get everything all rode up. We're gonna have to treat this grass somehow and get all these shrubs and weeds out of here so that we can have just more grass growing. I feel like these shrubs and weeds have to be taking a little bit of that, nutrition from the soil away from the grass so it's not growing as well as it could. So we'll be looking into how to do that soon. I'm kind of debating making somewhat of a gravel area to just kind of help us with starting the farmyard, because that's absolutely something we're going to want to do eventually. So we're not just parked in this little section of our field here that's debatable whether it's ours or not, or our neighbors. But the next step here is going to be getting hooked up to the baler and getting these bales getting the grass all turned into bales and wrapped up. This should be a really good payday to start with, guys. This is a great opportunity we found here with this plot of land having such a good grass field on it to start with. Just a little meadow here. All right, I think we're all set to go. There we go. Got our cruise control enabled. We'll just be able to cruise around. And I'm excited to see how many bales we get here. And we'll have to make sure that this is wrapping, that we have it all configured correctly. It appears we do, but it's going to be somewhat of a long day for us here. Let's get her done. I've debated on getting a plowing up this ground and replanting the grass. And that's something we might do, but if we do that, I think we'll wait until March or April, because I don't want to lose the opportunity to cut this at least one more time between now and November. This is going to be a lot of money. This is our main source of income. And it'll be interesting to see, once these ferment and get them sold, what we're going to make just cutting this, and then we can compare it once we turn it into a field. And some fields I'm eyeing that we're going to want to save up for, because this little 6-acre lot here that we have, it's only going to go so far. All right, we are super close to being done with the baling here. Just one more pass to do. Did have to buy a little bit more round net, but that's about it. The only issue we ran into. We had it delivered. The dealership's so good to us here. And it's kind of funny, we're talking about Uber. There's only one guy in town that does Ubers. There's a lot of taxi services in town, but just the one Uber guy. So, up and coming town. Not a lot of that newer technology, but we'll be fine. But look at all those bales. We got a lot. This should be a pretty awesome payday to start. All done. I don't know if we can get another 14 or 16% here with what's left on the ground. We did a pretty good job picking everything up. See if this baler has a configuration to let us unload a partial bale. Oh, it looks like it did. That button worked. So we'll get that wrapped and we're all set. Able to get this returned just under an hour of use, so we won't get hit with any extra fees for leasing it. Feels good to get our first job finally done. Took us 2 months, but we got it done. Another month or so, we'll be able to sell this, make some money. I'm guessing we're gonna hit close to 50 grand here with this. I gotta get this back to the dealership, and then I'm going to jump on that board, or the digital dashboard, and see if there's any good contracts to pick up today. There's a couple that I'm eyeing, but I did want to kind of take a peek at this property here. Owned by Walter. Walter is a guy in town that was at lunch, actually, so I don't believe sugar beets. He's a sugar beet farmer. Does he own the one next door too, 28? I don't know exactly where his farm is. Ben owns field number 28. Walter owns 26. And from what I understand, it's about $183,000 for that plot of land, which is another 7.5 acres. But I'm just kind of wondering, over here, we have this farm that we've talked about being jealous of. And looking at proximity of fields, and this one, not near an actual farm, I feel like Walter would be more likely to sell that than this field that, let's not walk in his field. Let's not damage his peas. But I'm wondering if this is Walter's farm, and this field's more attached to it, where this one, it's a little farther away, so we might be able to convince him to sell that. We'll have to give him a good price for it, but these peas are ready to harvest. I don't know if he needs help with that. That looks like a big job. I mean, look at this property too. He's got this sweet house with a detached garage with a little overpass here? No, it's just another secondary house. I don't see anyone home. This is a gorgeous farm that they have here though. And then this is that bridge we came over to get here. Timber and Sage, I believe this is the co-op in town, so we're in pretty good proximity to them. Looks like they got some dryers going here for some grain and lots of bins. Pretty sweet. Yeah, we'll hopefully meet up with Walter later on, see about that field, but we're nowhere near being able to afford it, so maybe we don't bring it up yet. All right, getting started with a canola contract here. It's not as big as the last one. I think this one pays about $15,000, but you can see the field, pretty decent size. We'll be able to get it done here with this John Deere S7 harvester, and it looks like we have a Mac Don header that we're using. Pretty clean. See how far we can get before we need to get the grain cart over here to unload this bad boy. But just taking every opportunity we can to use our time wisely and make some money. There's nothing for us to do on our property, so right now helping out farmers in town, getting to know them. This one is a farmer by the name of Katie who owns it. But building all these relationships here, you never know when they're going to come in handy. Have something that we can help them with, later on, or helping them now, and maybe there's something they can help us with down the line. Decided to do 2 headlands on this, and one's done, and we have 57% full of the hopper in the harvester. So this is going to be a really quick contract, since we aren't filling up as quickly as we were on the last one. So it's definitely going to be less trips to the store to sell, even though I believe with this contract we have a smaller grain cart, so that might be somewhat of an issue, but canola doesn't yield as well as what we did last month, so less times filling up the harvester means there's less time for me to stop and more time for me to get done with what we're doing. I'm loving it. These fields are sweet. This map's amazing. I don't think it's going to come to console. I don't think DJ's maps ever do, but those of you that have PCs and can run a 4X map, I highly recommend it. Finishing this headland here, and we will fill up on this pass, but they've, with these tram lines that they have, they're losing a lot of yield right here. That's a big section that there's no product to be harvested. I wonder, you know, if we're going to be able to prevent that on our fields when we get to it. Here's a little bit better. They must have had some different equipment out here back there that caused those lines. Interesting stuff. Learning a little bit about this town and how they do their farming, but it's all good. It's all good. I love learning about other towns. And this one's my new home. And a pretty good sized grain cart, so we should be able to, I believe we're gonna get at least 2 loads of the harvester in here before we have to go sell. We'll see once it gets completely full here, but I'm gonna try to keep it level in here so we don't wanna overflow one side and lose a little bit of product. Try to keep it level in the grain cart. All right, 31% filled up in the harvest, or in the grain cart there. So we'll do at least 3 complete loads before we have to worry about taking that in to get sold. And that might be the entire field now that I look at it. So pretty easy contract compared to what we did last month. Gonna pay us pretty good, not as well as last month's, but every dollar's gonna help. And I'm really trying to decide what kind of animals I want to start with. I'm leaning towards goats. Cruising along here. It says we're 62% done. We got our second load to unload and about 3 or 4 passes to go. So this is lovely. Making great time with this. Definitely feels like we're going to beat the storm, which was my goal when I accepted the contract. So get back in here, get her turned on, and once she's unloaded, we'll get back at it and get her done. Figure out exactly where we're going to sell this. And getting it finally filled up here, finished with the harvest. We got to figure out where we're going. We don't know this town that well yet, so we'll be looking at the GPS to give us some guidance, but we'll get there in a moment. And Katie wants this dropped off at the farmer's market, which you can see isn't very far away. 37,900 liters of canola. We'll see what our payday is from it, but I'm hoping we get the balance up to around 60,000 after this. You know, still a far ways away from that 180 that we're looking at for that property of Walter's. So we got some grinding to do, and we'll find out next month how much we're making each time we cut the grass on silage, which would really help us start building a budget and a timeline for the expansion we want to do. But we also got to keep in mind we have a lot more equipment to buy. We need a seeder, we need a harvester, we need a grain cart, we need a way to treat the fields. We're probably going to want to scan them to get the soil samples. There's a lot of money still needed. So rushing to that property might not be the best thing, but you know, the limited land we have, that means limited money we're gonna make. So we gotta make wise decisions, and I think after, you know, next month's income, we'll be able to start figuring that out. How slow we're gonna have to move, how quickly we can move, which one's it gonna be, slow or fast. I have a feeling it's gonna be slow and steady wins the race here. Let's let these people pass and we can go ahead and get this delivered for Katie. Yeah, they got some sheep over here. There they are back there, just a couple of them. But pulling up here, moment of truth about to be upon us. That contract number to go up and then see if we make a little bit of money from it. If we don't, it's all good. If we do, it's bonus. Wow, canola pays well, 87 $1,800. And another $14,541 for the contract. We did get dropped off at the dealership here, so we can head on home for the day. We're done with everything we're gonna do, and luckily, it's not that far of a drive where we're staying. Just right here in town. And we will just park right here for the night. And I will see you guys on the next episode. I'm Socksway Up. Thanks for hanging out. Catch you on the next one.